It started like most things do, quietly, innocently, buried beneath small decisions that didn't seem to matter. My wife, Camila, and I had been married for 3 years when we decided it was finally time to get a place of our own. Our old apartment had become cramped, and the noise from the street seemed to echo louder with each passing month. Camila was the type who liked to take control of things, especially anything that required fine print or polite back and forth. She worked in PR and had a knack for charming people without even trying. So, naturally, when the new lease agreement came up, I let her handle it. I trusted her. I was working long hours during that period, pulling overtime on a renovation project for a client who couldn't seem to settle on one style. I'd come home late, dusty and drained, and Camila would be curled up on the couch with her laptop, always just closing a tab when I walked in. "We're all set on the new apartment," she told me one Thursday night, a little too eagerly. "Met the landlord today. Signed everything." I kissed her forehead, grateful to have one less thing to worry about. The apartment was beautiful, almost too perfect. It was a second-floor unit in a brownstone with original wood floors and crown molding that felt like it belonged in a film. The landlord, Martin, lived in the unit below. He was around 50, slim and sharply dressed. The kind of guy who called everyone champ and somehow made you feel like you owed him a favor even when you didn't. From the start, I noticed something odd about him. He always spoke to me like I was interrupting something. But when Camila was around, he lit up. He'd linger in the hallway to chat, lean in a little too close when explaining where to leave the recycling. One evening, maybe 3 weeks after we moved in, I came home earlier than usual. Camila wasn't expecting me. I found her standing just outside the front door, talking to Martin. She was laughing, too loudly, and her hand was resting briefly on his arm. When she saw me, she jerked her hand back like it had burned her. "Oh, you're home early," she said, cheeks flushing. Martin gave me that too smooth smile and nodded. "Just welcoming the lady to the building. You've got yourself a real prize here." I forced a chuckle, but something in my chest had tightened. Things started to feel off after that. Camila's phone became permanently face down. Her excuses for why dinner wasn't ready started to sound rehearsed. When I'd reach for her in bed, she'd flinch like my touch startled her. Still, I brushed it off. Maybe she was just stressed. The move had been a lot. Then came the night I found the contract. We were sorting through some boxes, old tax forms, receipts, junk mail, and she handed me a manila folder to shred. Something about it felt wrong. Call it instinct. I opened it before tossing it in. There it was, the rental contract. But it wasn't the version I'd seen in our shared email. This one had a signature date that didn't line up. Signed a full week before she told me she met with Martin. And it wasn't just her signature on it. There was a scribbled note at the bottom in different handwriting. "Thanks for the company, see. Let's not wait until the next contract to catch up again." I didn't sleep that night. It was like the world had tilted on its axis, and everything I thought was true, our home, our partnership, the foundation we were building, suddenly felt like a carefully curated stage. And me? I was just the guy paying rent for a performance I hadn't even auditioned for. I didn't confront her right away. I wanted to be sure. So I waited. And I watched. And I began to connect the dots that had been there all along. It didn't take long for the truth to step out from the shadows once I started paying attention. Camila had always been quick with her phone, but lately, she couldn't put it down. She'd be curled up on the couch, texting with a half smile on her lips, a kind of smirk that used to be reserved for me. I started noticing little changes. Perfume she hadn't worn in years, a fresh manicure before, running errands, a lacy bra in the laundry that I hadn't seen her wear in months. Then came the nail in the coffin. She left her email open one evening. It was nothing overt, a follow-up message from the landlord about the lease extension, but the tone was too casual, too familiar. I clicked deeper. What I found wasn't overly explicit, but it didn't have to be. They used phrases like, "I still think about that afternoon," and "glad we signed more than just paperwork." It was all there, coded but clear. And the timestamp? The day she said she was meeting him for a quick contract signing. The same day I'd come home to find her unusually giddy and short-tempered, with her shirt inside out and a blush that didn't match her story. She had slept with him. Right there, in the very building we now called home. Maybe even before the ink had dried on the lease. I didn't rage. That would have been easier, honestly. What I felt was deeper, a hollow sort of grief. Like I'd lost something I never really had. The trust, the future I thought we were planning, it had all been negotiated behind my back. I didn't tell her what I knew. Not at first. I wanted to see if she'd come clean on her own. A week later, over dinner, I finally asked, "Do you ever think about the day we signed the lease?" She looked up, startled, blinking. Yeah, sure." "Why?" I shrugged. "Just feels like something changed after that. You seem different." She tilted her head, studied me. "Well, it was a big move. And with your work schedule. There's more to it, though." I cut in, my voice low but steady. "Isn't there?" Silence. She looked down at her plate. "What are you asking me?" "I think you know," I said. "I think you've known for a while." Camila set her fork down, eyes glassy. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she whispered. "It was just that one day. Martin, he was charming and I was stressed, and I felt invisible." I stared at her, feeling like I was watching a stranger confess. "And so you decided to make him part of our home?" She reached across the table. I didn't take her hand. "I didn't plan it," she said again. "I regretted it, but I didn't know how to fix it without destroying everything." "You already did," I said. "You just hoped I'd never find the wreckage." We didn't talk much after that. She moved into the guest room for a while, and I spent more time at work, grateful for the distraction. It wasn't loud. There were no screaming matches, no plates shattered. Just the quiet erosion of something that had already begun to crumble long before I saw it. A month later, I found a new place. Smaller, simpler, with no charming landlords or hidden signatures. Camila cried when I left. I didn't. Maybe I had nothing left to cry out. What hurt most wasn't the cheating. It was the ease of it. The casual betrayal. The way she still made coffee the next morning, like nothing had happened. I learned that trust doesn't shatter. It rusts quietly, from the inside out, until one day you touch it, and it crumbles. I don't know if she misses me. I haven't asked. But I think about that contract sometimes. That signature. The first mark of a promise already broken. And I wonder what kind of man signs his name beneath someone else's marriage, and still calls it paperwork.